Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon. Who knows when this episode is coming out? As you all know, I've moved to New York. Now I got my man Billy here. He's going to be helping us out with the show. You know, I used to always say we when I would record this.
And it was just you
and
and
it
the
was
microphone?
always just me.
Well, now you can say we.
Yeah. I heard somewhere that we, when you say we, when you're talking about something you're doing.
I didn't know you were French.
French, you ever hear a French person talk?
Yeah.
It sounds like the words should have more to them. It's weird. They're always like in a rush to smoke a cigarette.
From like the back of the mouth.
Yeah. They talk like that. But anyway, sorry, French people. Moved to New York. And let me tell you guys, what a dump. A dump. And this is coming from New London. We'll talk about New London because something fun really happened there recently. And I'd be remiss to not talk about it. But holy shit is New York. I mean, it's obviously one of the craziest places in the world. It's there's people. It's a major juxtaposition. You ride in the subway and there's a homeless guy shitting himself, banging his head against the wall, doing awful mentally ill things. And right next to him is a guy who's going to Wall Street with a blue suit on, talking on the phone. And you just kind of have to be like, haha, because you're in the middle as a middling act in this city. You don't have the luxury to do either of those things. You have to be running 200 miles an hour all the time, always. Days here are like a blink, right? Days are like...
A New York minute.
Oh, my God, dude. I never realized that was a real thing. But I'll say this about the crazy people compared to the crazy people in New London. At least here, they have some pretty cool places to hang out. I can at least say that. They can ride around in a subway. They can lay in the grass in Central Park.
They recently just built these crazy, you'll probably see them, these crazy pointy structures over the heating, the subway vents.
Right.
So that they can't just lay on the subway vents.
Yeah, homeless spikes.
Yeah, now they're these wavy, pointy structures.
Sure. Well, I mean, you wouldn't want a dirty homeless man laying next to the dirty street in the dirty garbage.
I mean, they do anyway.
Right. As if subways are a place that are white shirt and tie. Like you're expecting it to be nice going into a subway. It never is. I take the subway, I don't know, 6 times a week maybe, because I only work a few times a week. And it's never something I'm looking forward to. It's never like, wow, I get to marvel at modern technology of an underground train. This is fantastic. It's never that. It's always, this is going to be horrible. It's cold still somehow. It's actually nice today. But
it's always the wrong temperature.
Always the wrong temperature.
When it's really cold out, it's really hot down there. And when it's really hot, it's way too cold down there.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's always the wrong temperature.
Yeah.
Right now when it's really warm outside, you may need a sweatshirt just for the subway ride.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that explains all the homeless people with the extra clothes on. Not that they don't have a closet to put them in, but because the temperature's fucked up in the subways. Obviously, big change. What happened in New London recently, which is a lot of fun. I was getting a haircut a couple weeks ago, and I looked on the TV. They had the news, and there was a video of a massive smoke cloud, black smoke. And I used to live right next to where that happened. And the whole time I lived there in New London, it was the Victory Highway in New London, connects Groton to New London, and a tanker truck flipped over and exploded. And the whole time I was in New London, I had wished something awful like that would happen. All I wanted was for some country to nuke this town of New London, and the closest thing to that happened immediately after I left. which I think is a shame, and I think it's a discredit to the
I don't think
people
you should put this out on the airwaves.
who.
Your FBI agent's gonna get onto you.
Yeah, good. That's the only thing he's got on me. Believe me, I've said far worse. But I feel like it's a disservice to the people who've listened to the show the whole time, because that could have been a phenomenal episode, and it's a lost opportunity.
If you were recording while it happened, is that
That'd be even better. Wow, I wasn't even thinking of that.
the amount of content?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have that, that's another thing you notice out here. People are relentlessly chasing a viral moment content. Not something I would do, of course. But you can't, like, you go to the gym and it's already full of people. The gym is mobbed anywhere. Like, you live in Long Island, right?
Yes.
Is every place a riot?
It depends where you are. There's like, because Long Island itself it's very big. It's about like 9 million people occupy Long Island.
Right.
So, but the part I'm at is not that congested. It's pretty wide open. But there are certain places, like if you go to an LA Fitness, like right after New Year's, it's gonna be mobbed.
Sure.
But midweek in May, you might be fine.
Okay. Yeah, over here it's always like they're giving something out. It's always like they're giving something away at the gym that I go to.
Just so many people in such a small, condensed.
Right, and you're waiting forever for something. You want to squat. Too bad there's 18 people in line for that. But amidst all this, amidst people being upset at the fact that they're in a rush and they want to get a quick workout in, amidst old people that are just there to go on that go on the elliptical and watch Ellen or so. Ellen's not on anymore. That's an antiquated reference at this point. But some daytime television. Amidst all these people that are trying to make things happen modestly and can't because of the sheer amount of people that are in the way and doing things, there's at least a third of the gym that has tripods set up with cell phones. And most of them are, of course, beautiful people. You never see, some person that's just starting their weight loss journey, which is a funny phrase in general to call it that. It's never that. It's always people that got to the apex of fucking look of.
You said beautiful people. I was waiting for you to say douche.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. Because I mean, I've never been to a gym where more people are trying to get on Impulsive or get on this bitch podcast. What's it called? These bitches. This bitch. I think it's this bitch. Those two girls, the two comedians.
I've never seen like their clips.
Either way, everybody out here is trying to cut. There's videos probably going on down the street right now, and it's rarely anything good. It's usually like a rap video, right? A poorly made one where instead of a motorcycle, people are on bikes. It's it's some girl, like, I don't know, walking in the middle of the street trying to get a candid picture with a cigarette in her mouth. It's a lot of that. And it makes sense because there is a lot of nice things to look at in New York. There's a lot of nice things to look at. Sometimes you look to your left and there's a car being robbed. Sometimes you're riding your bike and there's a fire on the subway. That one actually happened. That one's real. That one, I was riding to an open mic, and
an underground subway fire, or like
elevated. It was above you, and people were stopping and of course recording, and I was like, wow, thank God I'm on a bike.
Yeah, like when I was living in Queens, I used to be on the Citizen app. I don't know if you've heard of that Citizen app.
You told me about it, I think.
And I had to delete it because every other, hour it was like mugging, and it was like I checked the map on it and it would be like 2 blocks from me.
Right.
Or like carjacking or stabbing, and I just had to delete the app because I was like, ignorance is bliss.
Sure. And those are some more examples of beautiful things that you can videotape when you're in. I almost said scenic New York, which I don't think is a thing, right? Unless you go
Scenic parts of
upstate.
New York, yeah.
New York State.
They call everything north of the Bronx upstate.
Right.
When it's, the very southern tip of the state that we're on right now.
Mm.
Like, it's not like, Albany is even still in dead center in the state, and it's like 3 hours from here.
Right. Yeah.
But there are very nice areas. I don't know how versed in your New York you are. You just become a New Yorker.
Yeah, right. And thank God for it. It's funny because I've talked about moving to New York for the longest time. Like, since I was a child. Since the first time I came here, I wanted to move here. And now that I've done it, it's like, it's both crazy, but also like, I think I'm the king of getting something I want and then being like, wow, this blows. Like, I still want it. It's still a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's definitely an adjustment. I mean, it's actually amazing how there's more people that are well put together walking the streets in New York than there is people who are insane. And there's obviously a lot of insane people, but to see families, that's what's crazy. Families get raised in New York City. That to me is nuts. How are you going to tell a kid that's seen everything, anything? That kid's not going to fucking listen to you at all. That kid's smoking butts, waiting for the subway out of school. They just walked out of school. They're slapping a pack, pop, pop, and they're ripping those things. That kid has a full-time job. There's no way you could be a parent.
Shoplifting bodegas.
Exactly. Dude, the other night I was in Greenwich Village, and it was like, I don't know.
That's a nice area.
It is nice. It's fun. But it was like 12 at night, maybe 1. And there were like 4 13-year-olds running past us with backpacks on. And I mean, you can't parent. You can't parent that. If you're in a suburb, it's like, all right, when the streetlights come on, you got to come home. Don't go into their backyard if Johnny's not home or whatever the fuck. You're not allowed there. Here, it's like you could get a gun at any time.
You could start your own business on the street.
Yeah, that too. I mean, you could do both of those in the same day. You could start a business selling guns in the middle of the day at 12 years old in New York City.
Not a bad life.
Yeah, I'm considering another thing that's a lot of fun is I know I'm talking a lot about subways, but when you go on the subway, there's always one of two people that come on, and they both get the same response typically. There's usually somebody who's fairly talented and brings a microphone with an amplifier or an instrument or a boombox. That boombox, what the fuck is that? A Bluetooth speaker, a boombox. I should put a gun in my mouth. They bring a speaker or some shit, and they're really talented, and they perform something. The other day, I was sitting there, and this girl was right in front of me, as close as you are to me, and I was trying to fucking read a book, and she's in front of me singing Whitney Houston really well, like really well. But I didn't look up once. I couldn't have been less concerned. Yeah, and it wasn't like she was a shady character. She might have been around our age. And they
actually did a social experiment about that. They did this guy who's like top tier, like one of the best violin players in the entire world.
Yeah.
Had him just go and play the violin in like random, like one of the stops on like the Q train or something. And no one even glanced at him.
Yeah, exactly.
But he had just sold out Radio City Music Hall the night before.
Damn. I was going to say he was, he had the wrong audience. But
it's just where you are.
Yeah.
Like if she was in a concert venue, they'd appreciate it. But if you're on a subway train, no one
full of angry people that are either too hot or too cold on their way to some bullshit.
Wrong temperature.
Yeah, on their way to some bullshit. They're probably late. They're going to hear it from their boss again, or they're going to hear it from their significant other again. And the last thing you want is to hear somebody that's better than you doing something that you can't.
And pretending to look at your phone even though there's no cell signal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not on Instagram. I'm pretending to be on Instagram.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to make eye contact, but...
I'll play solitaire or something. Anything to have to look. Because once you look, then you give them validation. And you make them think that they can do it whenever they want. And you don't want that. Which they can. They can still do that. The other day, there was that kid. There was a kid who went on with a guitar and he played some Stevie Wonder song. And it's insane because it's funny you brought up the phone thing, because there's somebody that's genuinely doing something really fucking cool, and you're really trying to not pay attention to it. Like, whatever you're doing is probably less better for you than it would be to just look at that and watch it and pay attention to it. Because in any other circumstance, like you said, you would appreciate it. But that person comes on, somebody who's, probably well-adjusted, has some sort of talent and gets no attention. And then the guy that goes, "Hey, everybody, I don't want to bother you, but I'm going to bother you right now. I'm homeless and I need some of this or some of that." And then people give him like food or bananas or some shit or a bottle of water. And he's like, nah, I'm not that homeless. I don't want that. And then people lose respect for him, because most mentally ill homeless people don't say much at all. They just shake on the side of the road, and you feel real bad for them, and you give them some money. And that's the tactic. If you're going to pretend to be real homeless, then you should also pretend to be mentally ill. Pull your hair out, do whatever, these type of things. I think that's the better tactic. But you can't go on and be honest with people, because that's another thing people don't want to hear on the subway is honesty. Honesty on the subway is, these people aren't interested in that or the other person that is better than them. So it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun that you can...
Sounds like a title to like a poem.
What's that?
Honesty on the subway.
Honesty, yeah. It's like Charles Bukowski. Honesty on the subway. Jack Kerouac. Honesty on the subway. It's funny because you'll watch some of those old things about old New York, and apparently it was worse. Isn't that funny? Like, sometimes if you watch like a movie in the 70s about New York,
It's hard to imagine.
yeah, you're like...
Even like pretty recently, they say it was way worse. Like pre Michael Bloomberg, it was like way worse supposedly.
Right.
And then post COVID, it got a little gnarly again. Because once everyone kind of fled the city, there was no one coming to work or anything. The homeless kind of moved right on in and just kind of took over.
Yeah. I mean, why would you come here? California is like the place to be if you're going to be homeless. California, because they pay you to be homeless over there. They actually give you a stipend every month.
You're allowed to do tents and stuff too.
Yeah.
Put up tents.
You can do drugs out in the open. There's like huts and shit.
Yeah.
Like shooting galleries. I don't know if that's what they're called, but it seems like the right name.
I think that name holds up.
Shooting galleries. That could be a bunch of things.
Or Miami works.
Yeah, the weather. Yeah, both places the weather's nice. But don't be homeless in New York. I mean, if you're like, you have the option. If you do have the option, get on a bus. It'll be the longest. Imagine a bus to California or Miami. Either of those places would at least give you a nice view of the future. Think about if that's a bad bus ride, think about the bus ride from California to New York. That's way worse. You come here and there's like...
How many buses do you think it actually is?
I would hope one.
Is that Googleable?
Imagine one. Yeah, look that up. The transit ride from fucking California to New York. Another thing you need out here is incredible patience. Incredible patience. Aside from all the things we've already talked about, you don't have the luxury of going to your car for things or sit. You don't even think that that's a luxury. Normally, when you're driving around, you hate it. For some people, they're like, I got to drive 20 minutes to work. I got to sit in traffic. The radio's not playing what I want to hear it play. My playlist isn't, you think about all the awful things in your car until you realize that the alternative is, being really far away from anything that you need at all times.
Okay, so once you get, by default, my Google was from Long Island.
Okay.
But once you get to Manhattan and you get to the Port Authority, it is a Greyhound to St. Louis.
All right.
And then from St. Louis to Phoenix.
Jesus.
Phoenix to LA. So it takes a total of 2 days and 21 hours.
St. Louis to Phoenix. That's one bus?
Yeah, so NYC to St. Louis and then St. Louis to Phoenix.
Oh, my God.
So that St. Louis bus leaves at 1:15 a.m. and then you arrive in Phoenix at either it has a range, either 6:40 or 8:25 the next morning.
Oh my God!
In Phoenix,
and
then 3:14 that day in Los Angeles.
Damn, you got to be on drugs to do something like that. And I mean, I've driven long distances, but on a bus is terrible. A bus is like. One time I took a bus in Switzerland, and I sat next to this old-ass woman who totally fell asleep on top of me. Like, yeah, but like, bang, head on my shoulder. I was like, this, and I was like 14 or something, 13. And, but the main thing here is, guys, public transportation is a massive part of your life when you live here. And it never gets any less terrible. It's never, the blow never gets softened of you having to walk 15 minutes to a subway stop or to a bus stop, and then you have to be like mushed together on this tube that's hopefully being directed well, because all the signs are saying it's not. The lights inside are flashing, the doors barely close. There's always like maintenance being done.
It's the wrong temperature.
Yes, yeah. There was one night. They close. They not close. They clean. They power wash the subway.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, I guess. I guess. Why do you have to? What's down there? I mean, rats and dead people who've moved on. So you might as well let the bottom of the train get some of that get some of their character, some of their essence on the train, so they keep moving around in life.
You say that until there's literally like a dead person next to you who's like piss all over your seat.
Right, I suppose. But what's a power wash going to do for that?
It brings it to perspective when you go out and you get too drunk and then you actually are the one who throws up on the train.
Oh, totally. I haven't done that yet. I hope not. It's weird because I will get nauseous on those. But one day I got out of work, which I'll have to talk about soon because that's awful as well. I got out of work and I wanted to hit a mic at midnight. And I took the train that was 40 minutes out of my way to get back home. And the mic wasn't happening. There was just, I guess I went to the wrong place, whatever. And now I'm like, fuck. All right, I guess I'll go home. And now I got to take a bus or a train 40 minutes from where I am. And it's not coming for another like 25 minutes. So I get some pizza and I smoke some weed. And then I go into the subway station. And we get dropped off at some other station. And they said, sorry, we're cleaning the subway. So that's another 30 minutes. And we're creeping up on 2 a.m. on a Sunday after I worked. So finally the train comes and this guy gets on that I thought was, I don't know, normal, I guess. Wrong assumption. And he started screaming at who I thought was his friend. I mean, it looked like they came on together because the guy was sitting right across from him and he's screaming awful things. I'm going to kick down a door. I'm a raper. I'm going to fucking kill this dude. it was awful, terrible things he was saying. And I'm high as hell, so I'm getting nervous. And my back is turned to this guy. And I don't want to look and be like, what's going on? Then I see the guy that he was sitting with gets up and he moves. So I'm like, all right, they weren't together. And he doesn't skip a beat. He just keeps screaming for like 30 minutes. And he starts to scream about what he's going to do to the people on the subway and what he did to the people on the subway yesterday. and I was like, all right, because I was real high. And he started doing it, getting real intense. So I just got off. I got off at some other station that was the quietest place that I'd ever been in my life, because it's 2:30 in the morning now and there was nobody there. Deadly eerie. You didn't hear anything. You didn't, no rats, nothing. It was so fucking quiet. So that made it even worse. And then I got home at like 3 in the morning and probably ate air that night for dinner and went to bed. That was the one time I freaked out and got off the subway. So far, that one was bad.
And it hasn't been that long yet either.
No. I mean,
not a big sample size.
I moved here in April. It's May 15th or something today. That's what I'm saying, guys. You can't rest on your laurels for a second. I'll say that even though New London was a more concentrated dump, it was a dump where there was less people. I mean, more people in a small area, and most people's lives were filled with despair and zero direction. The only direction was to the casino, the Mohegan Sun Casino, right down the road. Foxwoods Casino. That was the only direction they had, where they would sit there on oxygen tanks all day, getting free booze and gambling away what little money that they got for their kids when they die. Hopefully to win more, but that rarely happened. New York is it's the biggest dump I've been in. So I don't know which one is worse per se. I guess New London because of the sheer nothingness that would happen there. But here, not everybody is in despair. I'll say that. Not everybody. There are some hopeful people. I guess that's why some people move here. You can't move here if you want to be like a teacher or something. You got to move here if you have some wide-eyed fucking stupid dream that you want to try to chase. You don't come here to work at a Stop and Shop.
Like stand up.
Yeah, precisely. You come here to be a politician, a stand-up, a fucking model, an actor, some thoughtless fucking delusion of grandeur that'll give you some sort of hopefully income, but also attention. You got to get the attention. That's the most important part of all of it. I mean, look at George Santos. He's the state's representative, and they're trying to kick him out. Why? He did what all of them do better than all of them. He figured it out. He lied more than any. Do you know about it? You heard about George Santos?
Not well read on it.
Okay, so George Santos was this politician, or is this politician. He's a congressman for New York State, but he lied about his entire personality. He said he had been gay his whole life, but he was married to a woman at one point. He said he worked on Wall Street at like 2 or 3 different firms, never did. He said he graduated from this college, he never did. He had this much money, false as well. He just lied about everything, and that I'm pretty sure. No, it didn't. I was going to say I'm pretty sure it came out before he got elected. But he got elected, and then all of it came out. What convenience. And
so nothing new, politicians lying.
Right, but I feel like this guy is like he's like the new breed.
Or just a really bad liar.
Of like, sure, yeah. That could be it too. But they're trying to kick him out, but they won't, because then the Republicans will outweigh the Democrats. Who gives a fuck anyway? But it's just funny to me, the angle that I'm thinking about is they're all mad at him because I think he lied with even more candor than the rest of them. Like, he doesn't give a fuck that he got caught. Nope. Like, they're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who are suggesting that he should resign. He's like, why would I do that?
Did he double down on his lies, or he admitted to them?
That I don't know. I'm thinking he had to admit to them because they're completely false. It's not like they have zero record of him working at Wall Street in these places. They have no record of him going to this school. I mean, I guess the gay thing is up in the air, but he was married to a woman. So was Elton John, but you know, a lot of it I'm sure he used just to get elected, which is what they all do. But he knew, like, they're like novelty lies. They're like childlike lies to me. Like, it doesn't sound like most of them say.
They're pointless.
Yeah, like most people say, like, we're going to lower taxes, and they don't. Or we're going to fix the education system, and they don't. But this guy's like, I have all these credentials, but I don't. Like, I feel like that doesn't happen as often. Like, even AOC admitted that she was a waitress before she was whatever she is now. This guy's, it's just funny, right? But that's the person you want as congressman of New York State, because that's what everyone's out here for, except for up north. We forget about up north. They're there to be farmers. Yeah, they're farmers. They have, Woodstock happened there 1,000 years ago, and they hold on to that forever. So that's fine. Here, if you want to make it here, you got to be a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed retard. You have to you have to have no concept of actual reality. You have to just blissfully accept all the hardships it comes with living here because of the opportunity for you to dance with a funny hat on in front of people. Arises. There's so much more of it here than there is anywhere else. If you want to be a chef or something, you could come here, but why bother? Because that's a thankless job here in New York. Even though there's a lot of food.
I think a lot of chefs do come here though.
Right. I almost said Dave. Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
He was obviously here. Action Bronson. Mario Batali. He was here for a while.
What a three that you named.
I know Action Bronson's not even a fucking... He was a chef. But, yeah, no, you are right about that. But why is it worth the trouble? I guess the thriving scene. I don't know. Either way. Now I'm working. I said... I don't know if I told everybody what I was going to come here to do for a job, but I was going to be a liquor distributor, a liquor rep, and it's on brand that I quit it a day after my first day. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm deathly afraid of being a company man. For whatever reason, that bothers me. And it's funny because they were like, "All right, we're gonna get you a laptop, we're gonna get you a phone." You're gonna not a laptop, an iPad. We're gonna do this, and I heard all that, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta get out of here."
You at iPad?
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna give me things? I can't do that. No, it was. It's one of those things where I knew it would take up too much of my time, which is funny, right? Nobody thinks about that when they start a 40-hour-a-week job. They're like, "This is gonna take up too much of my time." Nobody thinks about that. Because time is a worthless commodity at this point. Especially in a place like this. I, for whatever reason, want to hold on to some of it and be able to use it toward what I actually want to do. Which I guess is record a podcast, do stand-up comedy, and wait tables. Haven't gotten away from that yet. In one of the most... One of the most poorly run shit houses I've ever fucking been in. It is, I feel like I shouldn't say the name of it.
No, probably not.
But it's on the Upper West Side in Manhattan. Right next to the Beacon Theater. I'm talking about I'm saying right next door. It's actually also above the West Side Comedy Club.
Getting pretty specific.
Yeah. What else is it near? Either way.
What does it rhyme with?
Yeah. Maya Petty's. So look up a place that reminds you of that. No, it's called Playa Betty's. They nobody here will hear this. I'm not going to promote this to any of them. I don't give a fuck. But they
Even one fan just emails it.
Yeah. I used to talk shit about Mohegan too, and that's actually kind of a theme on this show. Is any place I work at,
Trying to get fired.
I deliberately, yeah. I am. I mean, it's much better to get fired than it is to quit, because at least you went down fighting. You didn't just like the first job I had here for the day, I quit, and that's not respectable. If they fired me for like taking stuff off the trucks,
Talk shit about them on a podcast.
or that too, right? Talking shit about them on a podcast. At least then I get views, right?
To give you an iPad.
Yeah, I know. Fuck them. That's terrible. But you could see why people get locked into those kind of jobs. Like the two guys that were training me were old as shit, and I mean, they didn't really give me a great introduction into the job, because every place we went to, nobody wanted to buy anything, and neither of them could really speak English that well, so I couldn't ask questions. Every place we went to pretty much spoke Spanish, or the people spoke Spanish that worked there. It was a losing battle I would have fought, and I quit that, and now I work at this place, Playa Betty's, for the third time. I mean, I've served for a little while, and it's zero fun. Like, I greatly dislike working in restaurants. I do it because you can work not that often and you make a good amount of money. It's like a fireman, except with all the social accolades. Like a fireman, people are like, oh, thank you, you're great. People want to sit on your truck. A server, nobody is coming up to and is like, can I use your pen? You're so, you brought us our tacos so elegantly that we'd love to get your autograph after this. I want my kid to sit on your lap. Like, it doesn't correlate. But it is a grind. I mean, you work like, arguably, you probably work harder than most firemen, if we're being honest. As long as there aren't buildings coming down or houses really on fire, what do firemen do? They sit around in the station and they cook for each other, and then something rings, and it's an old lady who fell, and they pick her up, and then they go. But every once in a while, you get a real life-threatening thing. And I'm saying this with a fire that happened recently down, I think, what was it, in Queens or Brooklyn? Some kid got caught in a fire in a house.
I'm sure that happens every day.
Yeah, right. Of course.
But there's so many firehouses too.
Sure. I mean, you have to.
And a lot of waiters and waitresses.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what most of the time, that's what firemen are doing. And they get thanked heavily for it. Servers, on the other hand, are, especially in New York City, are running around endlessly. I mean, endlessly. This past weekend, or for you guys a couple weekends ago, I worked, I think, 24 hours in 2 days. And all of it felt like if I wasn't running around working, somebody was going to hit me with something. Like, it felt like I was working to prevent me from getting hurt because of how insane it is. I mean, I can't imagine going out in New York City and having a good time when you go to sit down to eat at a place like this, because people are waiting. They're waiting a really long time. And I mean, when you have 15 tables at once, which is pretty much impossible, you can't manage it. It's absolutely unmanageable. 15 tables that's like the apex for a server in terms of psychosis and stress and anxiety, far more than having to climb up a burning building. Far more. Just, this person didn't get this stupid request filled because this person in the kitchen didn't read it right, and it's like, it's just an endless thing. It's an endless cycle of psychosis and anxiety working in that place, and I look forward to hopefully getting fired. Hopefully somebody hears. I might actually send this one to them just to see, because at least I'll still get my last check I think you get it if you quit anyway. I mean, I've quit a lot of jobs too, but you know, I have direct. See, this is what happens when you are a vagabond and quit a bunch of jobs. You make sure you get direct deposit, because if you leave in the middle of the week, or if you, it'll just, you're good. You don't got to worry about a check.
You don't gotta go pick it up.
Yeah, yeah. And I've offered, but most people don't want to see me again. I've offered to go pick it up. I've actually had it where I had quit, and I was like, I'll come grab my last check, and the guy's like, nah, I'll just send it to you in the mail. Like, don't worry about it.
No, I insist.
Yeah,
I'll pay the stamp.
Yeah, precisely. And it's funny because coming from some of the other places I've worked at, you want to be, I guess, hospitable. Huh, what an interesting idea. Because out here, I mean, hospitality is I guess, a dying venture. Because you go to some of the times I feel bad for the way that I speak to some of these people. Like, I just have to flat out be like, I can't do that. And then just run. I don't know. What do you want? Sorry. Bang. Run across the street, because for whatever reason, there's a shed in the middle of the street where people want to sit down and eat. I mean, nothing screams a lovely night out than sitting in the middle of a street and your whole building enclosure that you're sitting in is shaking because of the buses flying by.
Get that Cuomo for that one.
That was his idea.
Well, it's because he made the rule that, like, you couldn't eat inside.
Right.
So the restaurants took it upon themselves to have outdoor seating, but in Manhattan, that's not a thing. So
right.
They had to build it.
It seems like an invitation for someone who played GTA a lot to,
like, use them as a ramp.
Yeah, like, just let the intrusive thought win and take out a whole one of these things. I mean, they look like that's what they're there for. Is for people to run into them.
They look like favelas or something.
Favelas, yeah, exactly. They got like that metal tin roofing and the $1,000
space heaters.
Yeah, exactly. The $1,000 space heaters that they have set up. That's where they spent the most money. And then it rains and people have to eat. Like they have to fucking be at this place, so they're like, we'll sit outside, so I gotta run across the street in the rain. I'm bringing drinks that are getting rainwater in them, which is fine by me. I mean, the rainwater has plenty of nutrients and microplastics and dirt that's come from the lakes and the ocean, that, you know, through the whole thing, and that's fine by me. I don't mind. And another thing in these places is you can't really fuck around as a customer. You can't try to say something to me that I'm supposed to laugh at. Like, you can't have me come over after I know I haven't seen you for a while because I need to give you time for you to look at the fucking menu. You can't say, all right, we're ready, and then I start talking to you and you don't know what you want. Some places that flies, but not over here. Not over here. You need to know what you want, because if you don't tell me what you want, I'm going to tell you what I want, and that'll fire me for sure. Because what I want to do is pick you up by like the back of your shirt and the bottom part of your shirt, like a cartoon, and like throw you into traffic while your family watches.
DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yes, precisely like that. Like a child, like a little kid, and just throw you into traffic. Like, time it perfectly. Like that episode of Family Guy where I think Brian pushes Stewie into the train or into the bus. I forget why they did that. I think they were in London or something. But that would be perfect. Because that's what I would want. If the positions were switched, you would probably want the same thing. Yeah, guys, it is obviously absolutely crazy. It's the biggest thing for me is seeing communities in action out here. It's one of the, obviously, the most densely populated places in the United States, but you can still rely on local stupidity and local, which is good. You need local stupidity. That was the thing that I think Louis C.K. said. He's like, there's no more, like where I come from, I come from a small town where we have this, I guess, heavily autistic kid. I don't know. He might be something else, but he rides around on a bicycle all the time. And his name's Chucky. Shout out Chucky. His real name's Dave, but everyone calls him Chucky. And he rides around on a bicycle, and everybody in the town loves him, and they buy him things, and he's great. And he lives alone. Like his mom gives him a bank card with all the money and shit like that, and he's chilling. That's a sign of a thriving small town, because there's not a lot of those left. And out here, they still have that. They still have simmerings of that. Like, I'll give you an example. The other day, I was in a bodega after work, and, I hadn't eaten, so I was getting a bunch of, horrible things, because that's all there is to eat at that hour. You got to go to a bodega and get a sandwich or like a bag of chips or some shit. And this dude comes in, and he's super baked, super high, Jamaican dude. And he's walking around like I don't know, I think he's ready to steal something, because he grabbed a beer out of the thing, cracked it, sipped it, and then just put it down and walked around. And this one guy got in his face, and he said, hey, get the fuck out of this store. And this guy wasn't an owner. He was a customer. He said, get the fuck out of this store, because I don't feel like fucking you up tonight. I don't feel like fucking you up tonight, so you better get the fuck out of this store before I fuck you up tonight. And the other guy's like, where do you know me from? He was fucked up. Where do you know me from? And I mean, apparently they knew each other, because the guy, unless he called him the wrong name and just made up a name on spot to make the altercation better, like, fuck you, Kevin, you better leave. But he said his name, and the guy left. I mean, the guy was like, oh, all right, fuck it. And he left. He picked up his air conditioner that he brought with him, that he left outside. That's a real thing. And he fucking walked away. And it's great to see that, because you won't really see that where I'm from. You'll see an autistic kid riding his bike around at 42 years old, and people engaging in it. And that's a good sign of community. Here is just a different expression of people taking care of their community. Get out of here before I fuck you. I don't feel like fucking you up tonight. It was, that guy wanted to defend that place so bad that he would have gone against his feelings. He would have gone against what he actually wanted to do that night.
That was not to fuck that guy up.
Yeah, precisely. And he was willing to do it. He was willing to fuck that guy up. But he didn't, and thank God. I actually have another example of that. Something similar happening. When I was in the gym, there were these two big guys arguing, tall guys. One of them was real yoked, and the other one was in good shape, but he looked smaller. And the one dude was mad. Like, he just started clowning him, because he was like, man, you're weak. You can't work out with me. That's why you never work out with me. You never show up. And he's like, man, I'll be working out. I work out. Look, fucking whatever. So they're going back and forth, and eventually that's the argument. That's the basis of the argument. You don't work out with me, you're a bitch. No, I work out, just not with you. Fuck you. And they're going back and forth, and it's slowly escalating. And I'm like, and these guys are like, they're doing pull-ups, and they're lifting weights and throwing medicine balls around. And I'm just like going easy that day on the Stairmaster watching. I'm like, oh, look at this. This is getting very rowdy. And I'm just, walking, and these guys start to really get angry. Really, really get angry. And they're going back and forth, screaming and hollering. And one of them goes, fuck you, let's go downstairs in the locker room, just me and you. I guess that means they're going to fight each other in a public place. And they were going to go down and fight in the locker room, grown men. And some other guy who was completely uninvolved from the other side of the gym runs over and starts screaming, hey, why are you letting all of these guys fight, to their friends? And he wanted to break it up. He's like, man, he's screaming too. It's a very fight fire with fire situation out here.
Just matching the energy.
Yeah, so he's screaming back at him, "Why y'all letting him fight? What is this shit? What the fuck?" And one dude, who I guess he's screaming at, turns around and tells him to shut the fuck up. I mean, it was something nice about seeing people work out their feelings, because most people, they keep them in. Most people, you see something bad going on off to the left, and you're like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna go this way." These people, they don't turn a blind eye. They know that it's important that they serve their communities. They know that without them, things will devolve into even worse situations, which, again, hard to imagine. Now, where I live over here in Bed-Stuy, it's not terrible. I guess things happen, right? I just gave you 2 examples of them right down the street. But it's not terrible, because you got a good mix of people who have grown up in the neighborhood, people who've lived here for a long time, maybe a bunch of generations. And then you got a bunch of, like I said before, weird, strange white people with some wide-eyed idea. And for whatever reason, this is an area that is affordable now. It's affordable and it's decent to live in, because anytime you heard about Bed-Stuy, everything bad apparently happened here in the world. Every awful thing.
I think Bed-Stuy, I think Biggie Smalls. And I guess
yeah,
take that, however you want to take it.
Sure, or you watch Everybody Hates Chris,
yeah,
and every day is, something terrible is happening. Who else? Jay-Z, right? And he turned out awful. So
that's life in the 5 boroughs. It's a little bit rougher, but it also has its perks.
Yeah, totally. And you can get plenty of them on street corners if need be. That was a Perks joke. How long we been going?
52 minutes.
Oh, wow. Shit. It's been rolling off the tongue, ladies and gentlemen. You can see why it's... I guess it was good to take a break. And I think it'll be good that we're only doing 1 episode a week, because 2 episodes, especially in this format of I don't know, on the spot reactions, it's definitely tough. You guys could probably feel that coming through in my last few episodes in New London. But I will say that after all is said and done, and all the stuff that we've said so far about New York, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited to get evicted from this room after I lose my job once this episode comes out. I'm excited to sleep under a bridge and develop a great habit, some sort. I always default to heroin, but people don't do heroin much anymore.
Well, on this path that you're laying out for us, you might as well. And then, that bus rather to St. Louis, Phoenix, and LA is only 2.5 days.
That's right. It'll be this episode was good because we've laid out the schematics for the future. We figured out how long it'll take me on a bus to get to New York. I mean, to California, and we figured out what jobs that we're going to lose, which drug of choice will be the one to take under the bridge, and by then comedy will be just a far distant memory. Comedy will be like, I won't even be able to speak coherently. Forget about. I won't even be able to tell people that I did comedy at one point. That's the situation we're looking at, guys.
You'll be popping out of a tent in LA. How about airline food?
Yeah, precisely. Which, I mean, I don't think I'd be out of the loop, I guess, in LA if I was sleeping in a tent, but also did jokes. Because I think that's what most people do out there, if I had to guess. I still can't believe that that's a thing. You can go there, and I mean, why wouldn't everyone go do that? Just not work. You get like $2,000 a month. You sleep out in the sun on the beach all day. If you don't have rent to pay, $2,000 a month, that's not bad.
I could stretch that.
Yeah. Even now, $2,000 a month to do nothing, I could still pay rent.
The thing is, they don't stretch it. They spend it on
Immediately.
drugs and alcohol.
Right, but if you're a decent guy, you could be like, I'm going to really make it from the bottom. And I'm going to sell all my shit, and I'm going to go there, and I'm going to use this money for good. But not too good, because once you're not homeless, then you don't get the money anymore. You don't want to make it completely.
You're back to waiting tables.
Yeah. You're back on the 17-hour bus. 17-hour. How long was it?
It was
like 2 days.
2.5 days.
Yeah. They'll send you back 2.5 days like a migrant to Martha's Vineyard, like they did on what was it? Didn't DeSantis do that in Florida? He sent all the migrants to Martha's Vineyard. That's old news anyway. Yeah, guys, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited for what's gonna happen. Clearly, as far as stand-up and dates go, shit. The only one I got right now is June 16th or 15th, whichever one is a Thursday in June. I think it's the 15th now that I say it. Mohegan Sun, I'll be doing that. Come out, have fun. That's it, motherfuckers. First episode back is done. Peace.